Hello. So I reconnected just a little bit with the online community called the Losers Club, TLC. And I say that with fondness because Paul Vanderklay hopped into the live stream I was in yesterday where I described the challenge of trying to love all the kids on my soccer team as a coach, especially when so many people want to win. And, I don't care about winning as much as I care about loving people and loving God. And it's a bit stressful to be in that situation. And Paul Vanderklay encouraged me. And I think he understood that what he's doing on the internet is, I think he understands like the Lord's work. He understands kind of what it means to serve the King. And so today it looks like the Losers Club is talking about how to scale an online community. And I see that Chad the Alcoholic over at the Friday Morning Nameless put out a video called Pseudo TLC. And so I tried to make a comment, but it got blocked by YouTube. And you have to be aware of that. Don't assume that your comment was somehow blocked by the person who owns that YouTube channel. I've had people make that assumption towards me, and they were offended and accused me of blocking them when it was actually just YouTube. The reason YouTube blocked me is because I was responding to Neil. Neil was trying to say there's a difference from TLC in that what is most emphasized, what is most valued, what is most explored is a bottom-up emergent phenomenon in TLC. Who decides who lectures in Peterson Academy? It is top-down, so it is still a conventional university, whereas what we're doing is much closer to the School of Athens. What I wanted to say is that the TLC is bottom up to the degree that each person is willing to reach down and serve the nasty prostitute and the tax collector. And so when I said nasty prostitute, I'm pretty sure YouTube flagged me. But this is really it's the same thing as trying to coach a team where there are losers, right? And so yeah, if it's going to be a Christian organization, then it's going to be an organization where each person practices connecting with the nastiest, the lowest, the biggest losers. And so nobody's perfect, but this Losers Club that we're a part of, TLC, it's the degree that it is a Christian organization is connected to the degree that we are willing to go just connect with losers. And so, you can imagine that there's hierarchies. And so Paul Vanderklay has a willingness to connect with randos. And it's not like he just has all the time in the world to connect with any rando and any loser. But then he's connected to someone like Jonathan Pajot, John Vervaeke. And so they are willing to connect with losers to a degree, a loser like Paul Vanderklay. And, maybe not a loser like me, right? And then maybe Jordan Peterson isn't willing to connect with a loser like Paul Vanderklay, and certainly not willing to connect with a loser like me. And so, the extent to which I would call it the church, the Christian organization, the body of Christ becomes more perfect really depends on the capacity for the body to serve the nasty prostitutes, the tax collectors, and the biggest losers. So it's something to aspire toward. It's not something that we have figured out. We need to aspire towards being of service to the losers. And, there's a lot we can do. It's interesting that Paul Vanderklee and Chad the Alcoholic are focusing on this subject, and they will need to. So for me personally, I think there's a connection to a coach who wants to play the losers in the game and the recreational sports league. And there's also a connection to the megachurch, and I saw that in Paul Vanderklee's title. And I've been going to a megachurch for about a year now. And basically the pastor of the megachurch, he likes to tell a story. I've heard it a couple times where he tells someone who calls him the pastor or the preacher, he says, "I'm not your pastor. I'm not your preacher." And he's basically a call for everyone to become the pastor and the preacher. It's the same thing Paul Vanderklee does. And so you can't, in order to have a megachurch that is successful, this is a Church of the Highlands in Alabama that I'm a member of, with the head pastor, Chris Hodges. You have to be someone who pushes the responsibility out to everyone in the body. It can't be that there's just a head pastor that is the pastor for everyone. It has to be that everyone is practicing being a pastor and a shepherd. And so the way it works in the megachurch is that there's multi-locations throughout Alabama and Georgia, and they broadcast. Pastor Chris has other pastors. One of them is Mark Pettis, who's the head of their university. There's another one, Charlotte. She just moved into Alabama. And there's Dino. So and then there'll be people who are campus pastors who will sometimes visit the main campus and then get recorded and broadcast to all the satellite locations in prisons and at locations. And so the megachurch is doing it, and they've been doing it for a while. I don't know, 2000 and, I don't know, since before 2008, I think. Over 20 years, maybe. And, it's just been growing. They've been adding new locations. And they really focus on small groups. They have an app, and they have seasons throughout the year in which people get trained to be small group leaders, and then create a small group in the app, and then the church communicates and advertises the small groups, encouraging them to come and join up and find a small group, get connected, because this is where this is the most important part of the church, is the face-to-face in a small group. That's what they teach. And when you actually go into small groups, I think I'm a part of 4 small groups right now. I'm leading 2 of them. This is all just words, like what does it actually mean? Because I talked to a lady who was in a small group for 5 years, and she was praying about leaving, and it just became intimate. So there is an intimacy crisis, and it can happen very easily in a mega church, and it can happen very easily in the Losers Club on the internet. And this is why it would be good to encourage people to get married, because that's the most intimate relationship you can possibly have. Have children. That's an intimate relationship as well. But there are other intimate relationships, and we need to encourage the intimacy, encourage people to be willing to serve and to love the losers. So it's not easy, and there are people who have been doing it, and we can get better at doing it. So figure I'd just chime in, just another loser sometimes participating in the TLC, the Losers Club. All right. I'll point at some channels for anyone who's curious about other people in the Losers Club. You got Paul Vanderclave, maybe the head loser, and Chad the Alcoholic, just an amazing loser. And I might tag Neil as well, because it seems like my comment got hidden by the YouTube. All right. Bye-bye.